All right. Well, welcome to the Ecom Growth Show. My name is Danan. I am your host, and with me I've got Carlos Alvarez, a very good friend of mine for quite some time. Carlos, you want to just go ahead and introduce yourself?
What's up, man? Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course.
My name's Carlos. I am an eCom addict. No, I felt like saying that almost like an AA meeting. The Carlos, eCom seller. I think like most people on eCom, the lion's share of revenues come from Amazon, selling on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a full-time Amazon seller for 15 years, a little over 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And some other things I've done in the ecom space that I'm very proud of is I started a podcast, which I've received a lot of guidance from you. You're like my go-to person for tips on that over the years.
Come on now.
So Wizards of Ecom podcast, we're pushing 400 episodes.
Yeah.
Got the YouTube channel, any tech hardware stuff, inspired to build out a studio. Like I've seen studios that you have built before. And I'd say my humble brag is my greatest passion project, which is the ecom community. I started called Wizards of Ecom. So largest Amazon seller meetup community in the world. It's my only vanity metric. And we have a divorce
hardly.
Yeah, we have a divorce-worthy amount of events, meetup events every month. Divorce-worthy because I'm obviously at the meetup and not with my wife and kids.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing community of which you're actually a part of, and you with Trace Hughes actually help make possible because, my wife, without some of the help that you guys give, my wife would not let me, rightfully so, continue doing this, which is the greatest passion of my life, is learning from other e-commerce sellers and teaching them.
Yeah. So yes, I am a part of the community. I help, I help him to a small degree run the Tampa location. I did do the majority of the build out of the podcast room there and the audio, the AV and stuff like that. And all those things you said about me, thank you, Carlos. It's, you make
you
it
pay
sound
me
like
well.
this is,
Exactly.
For, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You make it sound like this is not my very first episode of the podcast.
Right.
So cool. Let's go into a couple of other things. Let's not forget that you are a serial entrepreneur, not purely just an e-commerce, from Airbnb to car washes to bookkeepers. And you have had, if I'm not mistaken, 17 exits. Is that correct?
17 exits over the last 15 years. Yes.
Yeah. So, just a few. No big deal.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah. Your only vanity metric is that you run one of the largest groups, meetup groups in the world for ecom. And
I feel like, what you're saying is true. I feel like it's gotten to a point with e-commerce that if you lead with, if you lead with 9 figures, people, or a high figure number, then everyone just assumes you know what you're talking about. In reality, you're probably just more of a masochist than the other person. And on the other side of it, it becomes unrelatable. So it's like, oh, great. Well, the problems you're having are probably not the problems that I'm having. And that gets into a weird scenario. I feel like I walk that line really close in the fact that I continue to launch, new ideas. Jeff Bezos, every day is day one, is where I try to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And you and I have discussed this in the past. Just because you're a 9-figure seller, 8-figure seller, 7-figure seller doesn't mean you're profitable.
That's very true.
Right. So, and I don't say this to toot my own horn, but just a fact, when I personally found this out, that I was a 6-figure seller making more money, taking home more money by a factor of 3, that my buddy who was doing somewhere between 2 and 5 million, I don't remember exactly where, but at least 2 and not 5. So somewhere in between there. And I was taking home more money than him. He was making like $100,000 a year. I was like, dude, this guy had a warehouse. He had staff. He had programs he was paying for, and like tons and tons of listings. Some of it was private label. Some of it was wholesale. And the dude just hustled hard, right? and I took home more money than this guy. And I was like, oh my God, I can't even believe that. Like it's it's a bummer, but it is a way to make a living still, right?
Absolutely.
Which kind of comes into the whole purpose of this conversation is the Ecom Growth Show. I don't want it to purely be Amazon. It purely be ecom or subjects that benefit ecom, but there are many different ways that someone can make money both on Amazon and of course off, right? So I think because the audience is primarily Amazon related, so let's pretend that I'm Sally Smith and I am looking to get into e-commerce. My children are old enough now that they can make their own peanut butter jelly sandwiches. So I've got some extra time on my hands. That may be a joke. I'm not a mother, but let's just say she's gone. All right, we have some disposable income. Let's call it 10 grand. And she's got some time. Let's call it 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week. Let's call it, right? 20 hours a week. I want to go into the different methods that somebody can get into Amazon and or ecom, right? So I think if you got 20 grand, you're probably not going to build a Shopify store unless you're doing handmade stuff, right? So what do you think? Let's go into the list first of the different ways that you can make money on Amazon. And then let's go into the pros and cons of each and when you would recommend someone to do that. Okay.
Sticking on Amazon, I guess. So we don't backtrack. And in the meetup group, but this is a few people asking me a version of this every day. I want to know, and you hit some of them, which is, what sort of budget do you have to start? Because all these models require different budgets. What sort of time budget do you have per week that you can invest in this? That's not going to take away. A lot of people put together a budget and I was like, okay, so you're not going to eat, you're not going to talk to your family, this is bad. So what sort of time budget do you realistically have that you could put to the side to do this? And even if you have 1 hour a day, there's a model there that we can make work. So we covered the time, we covered the money. We need to touch a bit on why the person's doing this, because if it's,
so the goals,
but like a lot of them are sort of, I absolutely hate my job. I'm miserable. I either have this really long commute that takes me away from my family, and just sucks the joy from my life, or I hate what I'm doing. I'm undervalued. I want to do better. I want financial freedom. Like that's really what it boils down to. But it's important because some of these models, like the one that I love, private label, the brand one, which I'm sure we'll touch on that. That is not a cash flow friendly business. That is not something you start so that you could get out of your job in 3 months by replacing your salary. No, you haven't received your product in some cases in 3 months.
Exactly. Right. You haven't even decided on your product sometimes in 3 months.
I absolutely love that model, but that little aside, it's not the best model to do to get out of a job in 3 months, replace your salary and your health benefits. So
and I don't like that model to the degree that it takes so much cash flow and so much work.
And Tomer Rabinovich, he actually put out a pretty solid bit. And I love seeing this when sellers do. This is another established seller, vetted. This person's actually doing this. Somebody I admire in the space as well. But Tomer put out a post. If you're doing $1 million in gross sales with private label, most people are sitting at about 10% in profit, in that range. So you're making $100,000 before taxes.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you're $1 million seller. So
you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
But really you're 100,000-aire.
Yeah, that's what you are.
Taxes.
That's what you are. You're 2 or 3 bad purchases away from not being able to pay for stuff.
Right. And by the way, if you're able to find that link, I will put it in the description of this stuff. That would be great. I could text Tomer, but
it's all, and in a lot of cases it's much worse than that. But okay, so I want to know the money budget, time budget, goal, and the other one is an interesting one, and it's it used to take me 10 minutes to describe this. And then Vanessa Hung, who we both know,
Mhm.
lived in Miami at one point. She was actually a co-host for a period of time for the Wizards of Ecom podcast in Spanish.
Yeah. Yep.
She called it soft skills. And I think that's a perfect description of that. So I want to know your soft skills. So I would not tell you to go out and start a yoga accessories brand bloodbath competition on Amazon.
Yeah.
But if you had a soft skill, which was you host 3 amazing yoga classes per week that are in high demand and you have a community built around them, totally different scenario going on now. Like you have a following, you have an email list, you have people that you could sell to out the gate. This is going to be amazing in a product launch. So soft skills, time budget, money budget, and goals. With that, and in this case, we said she has $20,000 of disposable income. She's got 10, 15 hours a week to put into this business.
10 grand, 20 hours.
10 grand, 20 hours.
Yep.
And what's the goal here?
To produce a secondary form of income. Her husband has a full-time job, provides for the family, etc. Turns out he's not a deadbeat. That's a good thing, and now she's just at the point where she's reared and raised her children to the point where they're more or less self-sufficient. They're in school. She has some extra time. She's made the decision, what am I going to do with this extra time? I've got 10 grand. Let me look into a business. Oh, eCom. Amazon, right? So we'll stay away from eBay. We'll stay away from the handmade
and no soft skills. She's not like got this undercover knitting organization that she, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah,
let's call
assuming
it no soft skills.
Huh?
Yeah, let's call it no soft skills.
Yeah, no soft skills. Well, this is going to be easy, especially this is a clear-cut recommendation.
Yep.
There's a program out there now called, regardless of the model you're going to get into, I recommend this. There's a program out there now called the Amazon Influencer Program. You do not have to be an influencer. You do not have to have a following. You don't even need to have a social media account to start this. So like put that out there because I know that word freaks a lot of people out. Freaks me out a little bit still, but like it's the Amazon Influencer Program. There's a bazillion ways to qualify for it, which it could take 10, 15 minutes to do, so I won't do it. But there's a ton of ways to like work, even if you're not any of those things, to qualify for it. Once you do, what you're going to do is you're going to do product review videos of stuff you already have around the house. Mm-hmm. And you have thousands of things around your house when you start considering things like the chair seat, the leg, the things you put on the legs of your chair so they don't scrape, the wheel. Like you look at a blender
case.
Yeah, the phone case. You look at a blender, that's like 8 reviews. The body.
Yeah.
There you got a lot, thousands in your house. So you review those things. You do not have to do avatar quality video. This is your phone. You don't even have to appear on the video, by the way. Like you don't have to put your face on it. And you do this quick review, you post it on Amazon, you tag the product, and everybody that's already on Amazon, some of these people, they want to watch the video. And when they do, and they buy the product, whether you convince them to buy it or not, they were already
just because they saw your video.
But because they saw your video, even a tiny portion of it, and they checked out, you get a commission payment for that product, depending on the category, 1.5% to 4%, and sometimes even higher. You get a commission of that product and anything else they have in the cart at the time of checkout. And a lot of people check out.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah. Anything else. I have some people.
My wife checks out with hundreds of dollars.
Yes.
Every time she checks out, it's hundreds of dollars she checks out with.
100%. One example is we have an air fryer, and it's not even a very expensive air fryer. It's a run-of-the-mill air fryer. And my wife did a video on it, not even air frying anything, just talking about it.
Yep.
Air frying. Yeah. Not even air frying anything. And
sure.
I think we do like $900 a month.
Air fryage.
Yeah. I think we do like $900 a month on this. So in this person's case where she's wanting to make like, this is a handful of products that she's reviewing. Now, if she wanted to be strategic about this, I created this acronym called TIPS, which is Tactical Influencer Product Sourcing. So there's tools out there now, super cheap tools. And again, with a 10K budget, I mean, this is nothing, but you can get something like fluencerfruit.com. And now when you go onto Amazon, it's going to show you which of these products, identified with a green box, has the best opportunity for you to make influencer commissions based on how many other videos.
That's the tool you use.
Yeah. So you could look at this and say, oh, wow, you could review the stuff you have around the house, like the phone case. And yeah, you sold a whole bunch of phone cases. That's great. But the phone case probably costs $20 and you make 1.5% on that. Nobody's getting super excited about that. But if you went to the store and, you spent $1,000 on an air humidifier that shows this is an excellent a chance for you to make commissions, and you buy it and then you return it in the 90-day policy, in the 90-day window to return that humidifier, you're making almost $50 a day in that scenario for your review video.
Yeah.
So what is that? $1,500.
Which is how long?
Huh?
Which is how long, by the way?
A minute?
These videos?
30 seconds to a minute and a half.
Edited or no?
You don't need to edit it. I mean, you really, if you, those little clickers, if you set your camera up to record, you got to go up to it, hit record, and then come back and record the thing. So there's like a second or two of dead space in the front and the back when you're turning it on and off. But these clickers cost like $9. If you had one of those, you don't even need to edit. As a matter of fact, it's better not edited. If they wanted highly produced stuff, they'd be watching the brand's video.
Are you talking about like a Bluetooth device that starts and stops your video?
Yeah. The way you're holding your thumb, I think we have the same one. It's like,
I don't.
Okay. But fake it till you make it.
Yeah. I just use the timer before I start, but
look at you, all
the
techie.
beauty about, the timer is on, it's an inherent piece on the video. You can, but anyhow, so that makes a lot of sense. That's like the days of, oh man, what was it? Well, I guess it would be Instagram, where you would record natively on Instagram. You start, you stop, you start, you stop, because I think at that time you had a total of 60 seconds available, right? And so you didn't want all this dead space. So that makes it, okay, that's awesome. So I didn't even know that. So first of all, let me first say, this is not what I expected to say to begin with. And I think that if we were having this conversation 12 months ago, it isn't what you would say. You'd probably say arbitrage, right? And this is way less work, way less manual effort. Yeah. You already have all the tools that you need to get started. $0 investments.
Yep.
Just a little bit of time. If I'm not mistaken, there's a course that they can even buy for a nominal fee of $150.
Yeah. I have a course out there for like $99, but I wasn't going to bring it up. Thank you.
See everyone, $50 off right there. You're welcome. Thanks, Ecom Growth Show.
Absolutely. If you want to say a code or something, I'll create it so they have it for the show.
Oh, okay. Let's call it Ecom Growth Show for the code.
Yeah. I don't know if it does that long, so let's do growth.
Sure. Growth. Fine.
We'll do growth. Right. And what do you want the discount to be?
Whatever you want. Yeah, whatever you want. They already got $50 off the 150.
Yeah, it's 100 right now.
Yeah, no.
We'll do $50 off. We'll do $50 off the first 10 people.
Dang.
First 10 people, I'll have 50% off for the show. So if you go on and it expires, it's still a steal at $99. We'll do $50 off for the first 10. Yeah, it pays for itself immediately.
I bought it at $99.
Yeah. So so that would be the number one to do right now. And like you mentioned, that wasn't the answer I would have gave before, but it exists right now. I would normally say this is something that's imminently about to go away, because things like this easy go away. But with TikTok and Temu and everybody, pressing their play, Sheen, everybody pressing their plays, Sheen. Amazon's doubling down on this program. So you got at least another 2 years where this is still going to be
You think so?
Yeah. If not for the competition, I would say no. But, how about we got a year and a half to 2 years and you could do some damage with this program, doing it an hour a day, not my program, with the Amazon influencer program. If you were putting in an hour a day max, there's no reason whatsoever that around the 30-day mark, you're not paying your mortgage, and it's just up from there every month on videos you already did. Like,
okay.
I don't want to be a hypocrite and tell people to do something I don't do. So when I say we, by the way, it's my wife and I, mostly my wife. And I was like, I don't want to get up in the meetup group and tell people to do something that I'm not doing or I haven't done. So we started one. Yeah. I'll just sell in Carlos online. We're up to like I say only because we've been doing this for a year. We're up to only a little shy of 600 videos that are posted. We're clearing $3,000 a month. And it wasn't even targeted sourcing. Not to mention, once you start posting, all these different brands start reaching out to you. You could set up a free profile on Levanta, on Join Brands, on like all these different places to where brands will just send you products, which you can in turn resell. The reselling of those products, we're doing over 10 grand a month now. So like,
okay, interesting.
It's nuts.
Yeah, this is crazy. So I am a Levanta influencer.
You have amazing videos too, by the way. That scooter was solid.
Oh yeah, thanks. I haven't even put that on Amazon yet.
I would buy the scooter just because of your video. Like that's a video that would convert. Yeah.
So that video, I got paid $500 to do it. It's not a lot of money, right? And it only took me, it probably took me about 10 hours of filming and editing to produce that.
Yeah. Well, this doesn't need these videos I'm talking about. Don't need that.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was just going to say. You don't have to do that. No. You can have, a shaky hand and moving around the product and stuff like that is now. I do want to say that the day is going to come. You think it's going to go away. I think in the meantime, it's going to sophisticate into something where you need to be producing better videos in order to be seen because of a variety of reasons.
Yeah. Like anything, you do something and you just do it. And this is really my superpower. I'd have to say at the end of the day, no, my superpower is solving problems, but like at the end of the day, sticking with something, what is it? Consistency.
Yes.
Right. So if you sat down and said, I'm going to create 2 product review videos a day, nervous as hell, right? The amount of time it took you to create 2 within 2-3 days, you could do 6. So you're improving your video skills on video or not, or your audio, your voiceovers, you might, well, this is super easy. How can I add this one filter? Maybe you're on CapCut next. So you are building a skill doing this, and you naturally will improve.
That brings up a really good point, Carlos. So for those that are going to get into this, don't be afraid to just start. Now, this is in this episode, this podcast, this guest, this guy, this host, this is my first episode. I did not bother going into analysis paralysis before I just started. I just when did I text you? Last week, Carlos?
Yeah.
This week, last week, this week, like a few days ago, right? Like, hey man, I want you to be my first guest. And you said no. So I had to pay you, but that's besides the point. Don't be afraid to just start and start recording, because you can always hit that button again and restart it again.
Absolutely.
Hit that button to stop recording and restart it again.
I have hope though this is still going to be a good episode though.
Thanks. I'm not going to bother recording this. I only want to talk to you once, buddy. Okay. Well, that's awesome. So, first of all, we need to tell these people, where do they find your course? Where do they go?
wizardsofecom.com/course. Okay,
cool. Awesome. Now let's get on to like the next things, because we're already 20 minutes in.
Yeah. So that program,
but
go ahead.
I was just going to say, but I think that program for anybody should be where they start first. It gets you into the ecom system. It gets you into Amazon specifically. And you can make money with literally zero further dollars invested, just a bit of time.
Yeah. It's no matter what model it's whatever model you're going to do. This is going to help. If you're doing this straight up as your own model, because you just want to build, like, let's say the other models that we're going to talk about now on Amazon are not your thing. Like you're not excited by them. And the one you are excited about is private label, but you're convinced by Danan and I that it is very risky. There is a learning curve and it's not synonymous with great cash flow, but you're like adamant that you want to do it. This will help you get there faster. This is going to help you build up your cash reserves so that you can make better choices when you get into private label. You can fuel your pay-per-click advertising costs, which are rising rapidly.
And you can do both.
Yeah. He or she who spends the most, the longest on ads is who wins. Like it sucks.
But I would counter that with, he who charges everybody to spend the most on ads wins.
Yeah. There is that.
Signed, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like if I can outspend you on ads, I'm for longer, I'm gonna beat you, and that's the nature of the beast. And if you get into something with a limited ad budget, which everyone's limited, unlimiting yourself is that's the big brain move. But okay, so we have that. The next one, and this is the one I would normally have said, like you need to get experience on the platform before starting. This person has 20 hours a week. This makes them open to arbitrage. There's 2 other models that you can do that have 0 cost to start, but neither of those models they're great, but they're not, and it's merch and Kindle Direct Publishing, and I can touch on them, but they're not something, unless you're watching a YouTube ad who's trying to sell you a course, they're not something that is going to bring a meaningful amount of revenue. They're not going to replace your job fast. You're not going to get some random Filipino designer to like whip up some designs, put them on shirts and retire. That's not true.
So let's touch on those 3 real quick. So first I want to define them. So number 1, arbitrage by definition is going and finding existing products that are on a shelf somewhere, whether it's digital or physical, purchasing them and reselling them. It is typically reselling already sold products, right? Merch is where you create designs, you upload them up to Amazon, and Amazon people go there to buy on-demand printed hats, shirts, sweaters, etc.
And
KDP.
You can make money.
Yeah, you can, kind of. Depends on what make money. Anyhow, we'll get into that in a moment. But KDP is Kindle
Direct Publishing.
What was it? Direct Publishing. Thank you. And that is where you are creating books and selling them on Amazon.
Right.
And please, go ahead.
So start with KDP. KDP had a heyday. Kindle Direct Publishing used to be called Create Space, and then Create Space was
that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, it was like the paperback version of publishing stuff on Amazon, and then Kindle Direct was just a Kindle, but they put them together, and now it's just kdp.amazon.com. And free account, free to start.
Yep.
Amazing resource section if you wanted to know more about that program. And in essence, you just upload your book, and that's where everyone freaks out. It's like, I'm not an author. I can't write. That's an intimidating subject. I get it. To me, there's like God, and then there's authors. I love authors. I love reading. So I don't want to shortchange authors here, but in this case, you don't have to write. Like anybody can write a blank book is what I like to say. And a blank book is a journal. So if we put some numbers on the bottom of a page, put a cover on this book and uploaded it, you would now have a journal for sale on Amazon. It is legitimately that easy. $25, somebody on Fiverr could do the whole process for you. And there's a lot of people that will do it. And you're done. You're an author on Amazon. Now, as we know, you build it and they do not come. So it needs to sell. If you have some random journal and don't know what you're doing in the journal space and don't know people who journal, your sales are going to reflect that. Now, if you use a tool called BookBolt, bookbolt.io, you can go in there and I could just like, give me a subject, give me like a random niche of a hobby or something of yours.
Chainsawing. Yeah,
okay. Chainsaws. So let's turn chainsaws into outdoor occupations, right? Okay. And you go to ChatGPT and you're like, hey, give me a list of 1,000 outdoor occupations and kind of start from around chainsawing, right? It's going to give them to you. Then you go into BookBolt, and let's say they gave you 1,000, and you're like, let's break this up into 5 sets or 10 sets of 100. Now you're going to go to BookBolt and you're going to upload them and say, hey, scramble these into a word search. Okay. So now it's going to create. You now have a book that's called, the 2024 outdoor occupation word search, right? You want to get a little better than that. But if you pick your niche, I mean, every year there's going to be for every genre of music, every sport, every team, everything. And you're speaking to somebody, those sell, but you're going to need to upload, like, if you're trying to replace your mortgage, I'm going to say you're going to need to upload like 50 to 60 of these books till you start flirting with that area, which is not bad. It's free to do.
Yep.
But you want to use a tool like BookBolt that'll just make you could turn any topic and any ChatGPT list into a Sudoku game, a crossword puzzle, a word search, anything you want. So there's that. But again, you got to upload a bunch to make some money. Don't believe the hype on YouTube, and do not buy a course on KDP. There's a lot of like people preying on people about that. Merch by Amazon is their print on demand. I could replace my salary. No, I could support my lifestyle. So to say that a different way, I could support my lifestyle right now off what we do from Merch by Amazon, print on demand. But
so this is what you are currently doing on Merch.
Yes, but I started it when Merch by Amazon started, and we've just continued plugging away with designs. We have a lot of different accounts. I think we're up to, across all the different accounts, 55,000 plus designs.
I knew it was going to be in the tens of thousands.
Yes. It is a numbers game.
Yes.
And you got to put a lot. And if you were to assign even a tiny value to each of those designs, it will give you an idea of truly what you need to have invested in this to get to where I'm at. A tiny percentage of my shirts sell per day, but that equates to a decent number. One example would be, there's this hobby that especially little girls like to do. And actually my daughter's getting into this, and it's slime, and it's like making slime, right?
Yep.
I have a series of shirts that are like Slime Queen. Girls like to slime. Slime Queens do it better. I don't know, a dozen shirts, but I sell probably 15 of them per day at about, I don't know, let's call it $6 profit per. So where are we at? We're at almost $3,000 a month. In these slime shirts that were created years ago. You get it?
Yep.
And you just got a lot of other random stuff out there. None of it sells a lot, you know, and it adds up. So, I mean, I know some people that, like Alex Mutt in the Wizard of Ecom community, he's a POD genius, like a print on demand genius. He does Shopify stuff, all that. That's a totally different animal than Amazon Merch.
Yeah, for sure. So the most I've seen anybody make, I've heard of anybody make on Merch, was about $100,000 a year cleared profit. Okay. Which is,
we do more.
Go ahead. You do more than that.
Let me think.
Yeah. So do you know, how many people do you know that do around what that is? Just,
yes, we do more than that. I don't know many people.
Exactly.
Now I would say a better person to ask about that would be like Chris Green, Juno, and some of those other people in the Merch by Amazon space. Fernando Bolania, that's in the Wizards of Ecom. I would need to ask them, because they're very like plugged in to that community. And ask. But I definitely think there's people that are doing it better than me. Again, I've just been in it for so long, kept plugging away on it. I got a little team and some automation set up. Very hands off for me at this point. So yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Well, yeah. So my estimation, just on my limited experience, and we also have a Merch account and we dabbled in it for a while until we went, it's not worth our time, is that you just have to keep producing content, producing stuff. And you will get these great spikes in sales based on what's happening today. Right. Yeah.
So if you go like for instance, the slime shirts, right? That is a fad, which is happening for quite some time, actually, surprisingly, but that is a fad, right?
If you did a shirt with an ear on it and it had a patch where it had just been shot, right? If you had a saying, like, again, we'll stay away from politics, but like, you know, you could hear on the mic, he says, "Get my shoes." You know, so it says, "Get my shoes." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you ride that, but I don't know how long that's going to be a thing.
Right, exactly. But it doesn't cost you a lot of money to produce that image, right? And so you can capitalize on that. So another one that, this was my favorite. This is going back a while, and maybe you remember this, but chocolate ears.
Oh,
do you remember this?
I don't remember where it tied to. But
okay, so this was a
Tyson Holyfield.
Tyson Holyfield when he bit his ear, and he really bit it, right?
Well, you know, they've monetized the heck out of that on the side. They started like a THC CBD company called Holy Ears. You should look it up on the side. Yes, it's called Tyson Bites. If you look up Tyson Bites,
my gosh,
and they're doing really, really good. They got together, they mended fences. It's Holyfield and Tyson. Yeah.
Oh,
and I heard from a friend,
genius.
I heard from a friend that they're very good.
I am Yeah.
Next time I'm in Tampa, I'll bring that friend, which is next week.
Yeah. No, thanks. No, you keep your Tyson bites to yourself.
They're all shaped like ears.
Of course. I don't support cannibalism, though. That's hilarious. So very quick. Okay, cool. Anyhow, if you'd made a shirt about that back then, like somebody made chocolate bites, right? They made a killing. You could do that. Okay, cool. I think we understand what we're saying here is that you need to be producing a lot. It doesn't have to cost you a lot, but you need to constantly be on the production line to produce new content. And probably fads and what's going on today is one of the more likely to convert, would be my guess.
Yeah. All right. So
cool.
After that, we're getting into what I think most people in the Amazon space think about, and that's going to be your online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, like you mentioned. Retail arbitrage, you're going in the store. Online arbitrage, you're doing it online. I think that is a great spot to start if you want to get into, like, because what we talked about so far is more digital. You know, even though KDP can have paperbacks, but they're printing it for you. You're not holding any inventory. You're not buying anything and sending it to FBA. But now we're getting into that.
No money out for this stuff.
Right.
No major money out.
Yeah, but that ends now. So like retail arbitrage, online store, online. Fantastic way to start if you're going to get into, you know, buying products to sell online, because you learn so much in the trenches. Like I'd say most of my successes on the private label side come from those early day trenches, eBay, you know, hand-to-hand combat and garage sales and reselling and and all that. You quickly learn what storage fees are and why it costs so much to ship something. And oh my God, the profit margin's massive on this thing. Yeah, but it's 6 feet long. There's something called dimensional weight, you know? You learn all that quickly, and you learn it in a safe,
for a very
low dollar amount. But it's very intensive in the retail arbitrage space, because you got to get in the car, you got to go to the store, you got to walk the store, you got to grab the product, you got to put it in the cart, you got to take it to the cashier, you got to pay for it, you got to put it back in the car and back out of the car, and a lot of touching the product, very labor intensive. And you get sick, well, your money's going to dip because you couldn't source. Exactly. Online arbitrage, you can hire virtual assistants to maybe run tactical arbitrage or one of these tools for you, but it's still very labor intensive in dealing with all the moving parts. The reason I started with the Amazon Influencer Program also, though, is because Amazon has not come out with a program in over a decade that has been pro arbitrage seller. Like, hey, we see all you arbitrage sellers out there, we want to help you out. On the contrary, they're arming brands and creating programs that, again, I don't think they're singling them out, but the direction they want to go is not a friendly one for arbitrage sellers. It's much easier for these brands to submit IP complaints. And I don't think, you know, what did we call her, Stacy or Sally? I don't think Sally wants to be dealing with IP complaints and having her stress going up. But 10 grand to start arbitrage, you're almost king of the hill with 10 grand starting arbitrage. You could do some serious damage with 10 grand with arbitrage.
But also it translates into serious labor.
So like, you know, Sally's not going to be hanging out with her kids or her grandkids as much. She'll be very tired. You know, invest in a raincoat because sometimes it's raining. Like, and also if you don't live like Miami, and I guess Tampa in a way is kind of a mecca for so many stores around you. You can just walk in and scan and do stuff. But most states and most cities are not so fortunate. So retail arbitrage might not even be, you know, as a matter of fact, you might be getting arbitraged and buying things online just because you're not close enough to a store to just go get it. Your next step up after that is going to be wholesale. 10K nowadays, you're at the low end of what I would consider good to get in. I'd rather see you at 15. You can do wholesale at 10. And major difference here is you're still reselling products, but you're now contacting the brand. There's a relationship there, and it's a version of, hey, my name's Danan. I got a small business in Miami. The best thing since peanut butter. I'd like to resell your products. Can you send me a price list? If they don't grill you about being an Amazon seller, and if the prices make sense and you can flip them on Amazon for a profit, you're in there. If not, on to the next one. It is a numbers game. If cold calling crushes you, which it does most people, this business will bury you.
Yes.
It's a lot of no's every day, and you slowly build up a small percentage of these yeses into a stable of products, which some of them disappear because the brand has sold their business to another person and they no longer want to sell to you, or they sell directly to Amazon. So it's a very time consuming business, but it is one, unlike Arbitrage, that you can hire out an entire team eventually to do it. 15% of my Amazon business to this day is still wholesale.
Okay.
On the wholesale side.
Yep.
There's a lot of versions to it. Mine is more, Danan, I know I see a lot of hats behind you. So I'm like, I know you have a hat company, and I know you hate, I've already heard from other people, this person doesn't sell to Amazon sellers. They only sell to the 1 or 2 Amazon sellers that they have. That is who I want to deal with. So I go to you and I'm like, I notice you don't have this style of hat. I would like to invest to have this new hat put out. I don't want to siphon any of your existing Amazon sellers. I want to start something new and work with you, and you work with me. And that listing appears as a variation on the existing one. So I'm getting sales from day one. And the other people are not upset because I'm not siphoning sales from them. So that's pretty much wholesale feel in a nutshell.
Okay. Cool.
Now we're getting into like what gets, I think, the lion's share of attention in the Amazon space, which is private label. Yeah. And the benefits of the resell models of Arbitrage and Wholesale is you didn't need to take pictures, no UPC code. You didn't need to do the marketing. You didn't have to run the PPC. You don't have to do anything. You
don't have to build the listing.
Right. You're reselling this product. Yeah, you're reselling this product. Got a negative review. Sucks for the brand. You know what I mean? Like, sucks for them. But with private label, reverse all that. You're on everything. And I mean, the idea is it's certified safe to come in the country. The shipping, everything you're responsible for.
The photos, the listing, the advertising. And if you don't know advertising, Amazon's still happy to take all of your money.
Yeah. For me, and I could shorten this if it was like a bet, but for me, if I'm taking my time going through trying to launch something from scratch and assuming the product is coming from Asia, it's about on the first round of this product, it takes me about 180 days from I have an idea, sample, I get it, and I like it. 120 days turnaround from manufacturer to in FBA. Usually my products have like a 45 to 60 day lead time. So could take more.
Sure.
Totally could take more than that. That's why I was saying at the beginning that if you want to be out of your job in 4 months, starting something that is going to take you 6 months to bring to market is not a good idea.
No, unless you're retiring.
Yeah. Arbitrage Wholesale, or mostly Arbitrage, you buy some products they don't sell, you have a return window to get your money back.
Yeah.
Wholesale, a lot of people don't know it, but you can contact the brand and get like a restocking, and you're paying a restocking fee, but they can take some stuff. If you bought these things and there was an issue selling them on Amazon, if they sell, you're probably going to be able to move them another spot. Like you're going to be able to made whole, probably not as fast as you had predicted, but you could be made whole. The other models we mentioned, no money out of pocket, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Private label,
you lose only time.
Private label, you're exposed.
Yeah.
You're fully exposed. You're exposed to all the ups and all the downs.
Yeah. Now, with that said, let's go into income potentials.
Sure. Let me add one thing. Sally should not do private label in this scenario.
Not in the beginning. Correct. I agree.
This is about as debatable as Republican Democrat, but I'm going to say you need 30 to 50K to start a private label product nowadays.
Yeah. And I've never particularly agreed with that number personally.
Sure.
But that being said, I've also never launched a private label as successfully as Carlos has.
Yeah. It's 30 to 50K. It's something I'd love to debate with you over drinks about, especially since I know we're friends and I could rib you harder than I can here on the podcast. But
sure. Go for it, man. Like no holds barred, no bars hold. Let's go to the bar.
Yeah. So, so we can do that, but I get it. You know what? If somebody bet me and said, I bet you couldn't launch a PL in under $5,000, I could do it. I could launch a pipe cleaner. And I could pay my phone bill maybe starting every month in 4 months. Yes. But when you say I want to start a private label, to me, it implies you're not doing that to pay your phone bill. You're doing that to make a living.
Okay.
Right. So that base number where that comes into play for me is 30 to 50K. Yeah. I could launch a cigar cutter. I could launch a cigar cutter for $750. So it's, and I feel like that ambiguity, that area of ambiguity is where course sellers, a lot of course sellers in private label live.
Yeah. Now, so to your point, there are degrees of success. There are degrees of revenue, degrees of profit margin, et cetera. The lesser the amount of products you purchase, the less purchasing power you have with that manufacturer. Therefore, the more you're going to spend per product, right? You might potentially spend more on shipping as well. So yes, I absolutely agree with you. So what you are saying when you say 35 to 50 grand, you are saying if you want to build a brand, if you want to build a company that is,
if you want to pay your mortgage consistently every month.
Yeah.
Most mortgages.
Okay. And 35 to 50 grand would pay most people's mortgages for about a year, maybe more.
Right. But the rub here is if you have 30 grand, you shouldn't spend more than 30% of your money in actual inventory. You need roughly another third to operate, and you need another third to reorder before you recoup everything. So you're really only playing
advertising.
Well, that's the 10K to operate. So like,
okay,
but those are tight. You're talking about a 4-month window, and you have 10K to run ads. That's why I'm saying 30 to 50. And you're also tight on your product. Like you've limited a lot of your choices if your product, including sea freight and everything, needs to come under 10 grand.
Yes.
There's also one-time startup costs that, true enough, they're one time. So 30's like 30 gets dicey fast.
Okay. I can see where you're going with this. Okay.
Yeah. So what you were going to say, income potential, with the Amazon influencer program. We're barely doing it, and we're doing 3K a month. The majority of people I know that are doing this, that are doing 5 review videos a day and have been sticking to it for a year or more, are doing an excess of $10,000 a month. And that is clean. Like
clearing it.
Yes. Like I was a private label seller for many, many, many moons before I was clearing 10K a month clean.
Yeah.
Profit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So powerful. They're like, I know we started it first. This is the easy one, and rarely is the easy the best, but don't sleep on this one.
I'm going to have my wife watch this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. KDP, again, you could get to the 1,000 to 1,500 range once you're, let's just call it 50, 60 books.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
But, and say each of those 50, 60 books required you to spend, $50 a month subscription on BookBolt, and, say $50 for a $5 one on each one. It adds up, but it's totally doable. But again, you need to get a bunch, you need numbers on your side. Merch by Amazon, you need numbers on your side as well. But I'd say most people that do merch couldn't pay their car payment. In the immediate future. So I don't know how we do that with earning potential. If you stuck with it and you were a total like goofball masochist like me for this many years, and you get up to 50, 60,000 designs, then you could do well over $100,000 a year.
And what's the time involvement with that? I know you've got a team, but Sally doesn't.
Yeah.
Right?
So she's going to get a tool like Merch Informer, and she's going to use filters like, oh, it's Halloween. I want to take advantage of this, and I want to be in a good position next Halloween. And, oh, there's this thing called dabbing Dracula. So that you had to think of that, or you had to use the filter and put in Halloween shirts. And you're like, what is that thing that Frankenstein's doing there? And you're like, oh, it's dabbing. And you're like, dabbing Dracula, dabbing Frankenstein, dabbing Pelosi, you know what I mean? Like you just go wide, but you use a tool like Merch Informer to really drill down and say like, what's available. I'm not involved in any phase of it right now. My ideas suck, according to my team, for POD designs.
Print on demand. POD is print on demand.
Yeah. My ideas have been proven out of my head to stink. So I just rely on, the team of VAs to deal with that. But if you're doing it yourself, probably look at 10 hours a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
10 hours a week for, what was that? $1,500 to
no,
$2,500.
you ain't going to make 1,500 for a long time.
Okay.
I don't know how to spin that as far as growth potential. That's a long game.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't start merch. The only way you're going to start making money on merch quick is if you have a base to sell to. Like say,
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, like say your job is you are in some kind of role over this big chunk of land that hosts baseball games and kickball games and all, weekend warrior leagues. You could go in there and just say, hey, whatever design you want, I can create your team shirts.
Yes.
No MOQ, no nothing.
Yeah.
You got something like that, you're going good. If you have a Facebook community, like I mentioned earlier, like are you a knitting warrior or something?
Yeah.
Knitters do it better, but you have a base that you sell to, then you could. Yeah. You totally could.
Yeah.
If you're, which I know most people don't apply, but if you're a game developer, think like Zelda. I don't know the age, I'm dating myself, but like Zelda, you win Zelda when you beat Ganon at the end, right? When you beat Ganon, you're ready to buy a shirt that shows I slayed Ganon, right? But if you have any kind of gamified scenario going on where there's a winner, the winner will buy a shirt. Like your merch can sell to that person. But if you're relying 100% on the algorithm right now, it's a numbers game on the amount of shirts you have out there and leveraging Merch Informer.
Cool.
And
all right.
arbitrages, I mean, lock yourself in to 40 to 60 hour weeks. This person's limited to 20. So there is 20. You're putting 15 into product sourcing in the beginning, maybe 12, 5 into prepping the orders. And so your growth, but your money potential there is pretty large. Like we've jumped up a bit there. If you're putting in that much amount of time each week, I don't see any reason why starting in month 2 that you're not making 10, 15,000 a month.
So let's put a pause on that. You think that's the case with Sally, who's just found out about this? You think she'll be
no
there?
Experience? I'm assuming she listens to this podcast. She attends the Wizards of Ecom meetups. She hasn't gotten scalped with a course. She asked a lot of questions. She has somebody she can call and be like, is this a good purchase and why? That she does not make the mistakes that everyone would naturally make as part of growing. But if if I was going out there and doing arbitrage right now, and I started with $10,000, I need to be in month 2. I purchased things that would sell out by month 2. I recouped all my money. I paid back the credit card. I gained the points. Like I'm making some money.
You didn't pay a bunch of storage fees.
Yeah, but exactly. And the margins on arbitrage are big because you're buying only what is big. Right. That's a really good point though. Wholesale, you're in about the same range there. As far as what you're turning around, the hard thing's going to be is how many people are you calling per day to close these accounts? Because growth potential, I mean, if you're calling 2 people a day, Monday through Friday, you may not have landed account by month 3.
Definitely.
Right.
So I used to do cold calling, and I've done door-to-door sales as well. So the conversion rate on that was about 1 to 2%. So for every 100 phone calls I made, I'd get a client.
I think that's right.
I think that holds true on this as well, because it is effectively cold calling and purely just a numbers game.
Yeah. I like those numbers, especially if you're starting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to bumble through your conversation. The first,
you're going to start off with, I'm Danan at hotmail.com. And they're going to be like, what kind of business is this? Like, there's a learning curve and you got to start cleaning everything up.
Never heard of Hotmail? It's probably before your time.
Yeah. So like growth potential is earning potential is there, but there is a very, very steep learning curve with wholesale. And I think a lot of it has to do with you don't have easy ways to fail. With arbitrage, go to the store, get it, fail. Oh, found one, good. You've just grown so freaking much by that point. And so the rate of failure has a lot to do with how quickly you succeed. You want to succeed, increase your rate of failure. With wholesale, it may take you months before you receive products and you get an account. So your rate of failure is so much slower. So I feel like the learning curve is so much higher. There is the cold call component, the sales, but the growth potential is totally there. I mean, it's 15% of my business that day, and we shared a little bit of numbers in the beginning, so you have an idea. 15% of that. I do a meaningful amount in wholesale.
Yeah. And as do I.
Yeah. Private label
with very few products.
Yeah. You can do really well, but you need to be ready to put in a learning curve on that. private label growth potential is
exponent. Yeah. It's
so
crazy.
arbitrage and wholesale will have higher profit margins. Much higher
You mean
profit
arbitrage
and wholesale.
And wholesale. So not private label.
No. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people out there in private label that are just saying that for the sake of saying it, but I mean, think about it. Which model would have more profit margins? The one that you're responsible for everything and the PPC, or the one that has existing velocity and doesn't?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, so I'm just going back to the last private label that I did, which was my blankets, right? So my landed cost at Amazon was, I think about $34 a unit. And I sold them for 75 to 110.
That's a really nice margin.
Yes.
And a nice price point.
Yes.
Yeah. And why'd you stop selling it though? If you can say, I don't know.
Competition got so fierce, and I wasn't doing advertising, and you know, I could have easily, I absolutely could have continued with this and put a bunch of money into advertising and built a brand, but I didn't, because on the wholesale side of things, it is
printing money.
Yes, I'm not kidding you. It is 5 to 10 hours a month, 10 max.
Yeah.
But 5 hours a month of only Jade's time, my wife, who runs our Amazon business. It's 5 hours a month. Yeah. Love you, babe. That's all it takes. We don't, and again, so this is a unique model, but we do not buy the product ahead of time. We do not advertise the product, and we do not hold inventory. All we do is inform the factory, here's the label, please send in 400 units. Yeah. And we pay them once a month after my wife's done the numbers on the 5th of each month.
That's a bit of a unicorn there, that you have that easy of a setup, but you are much closer to that with wholesale than private label. The love of doing private label has a lot to do with a lot of other parts and not that, but you turn inventory faster, you get a hold of inventory faster, and in almost every case, you don't need to run paid ads. That just naturally means you're going to have a bad margin. Now, there's exceptions to every product. So like if somebody listening to the private label wanted to shoot me down, I granted, I already agree with you. And the $100 to $200, $250 price point on Amazon is the sweetest spot to be on right now, in my opinion. But everything else being equal, if you would have started running ads on that with fierce competition, your profits would have your profits that you had on that blanket would have, quickly disappeared. A lot of them.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. And then you're having to redo the images.
Yep.
You're paying all these other things, and maybe an agency for influencers, or your stuff. So maybe you're not hiring them, but like there's a lot of extra fees that come in that do not exist in the Amazon wholesale model. So I find, all things being equal, wholesale and arbitrage have higher profit margins, but you're sharing the box, you're capped. Private label, you're uncapped, you're unchecked. Write your own ticket, but you need to freaking write it. You know what I mean? Like, you need to write it, and writing it costs.
Yep. And by the way, I still have some inventory on those blankets. You know how I sell that inventory today? It's D2C at events.
Sure.
So like I'm in the off-road community, right? And so I've got a network, a small group of us that are all YouTube influencers or YouTube producers in the off-road overlanding space.
I've been in your Mad Max vehicle.
Yeah, that's right. He says Mad Max. There's no armor. Well, the armor's on.
Yeah, it's freaking armored.
Okay, fine. No, never mind.
Look like a freaking tank.
Never mind. But so we've got one buddy. He's got a company that he sells. He made this thing called the Florida Adventure Trail. So he's got a company. He's got GPS tracks. People buy it all the time, stuff like that. And once a year, we go out to Florida, and we've got a huge booth, a 30-foot booth. And I'll just bring 50 of my blankets, 100 of my knives, and just sell out. That's how I do it today. So that way I haven't just lost that money, and I don't have any advertising costs.
Your upside on what you could make as far as those big numbers and life-changing. You could life-changing stuff in wholesale, but it's definitely in the private label side. I was just saying at a per product level, if you're comparing something that I could make, some calls and get versus this product fresh from Asia, you usually on wholesale, you just make more because I don't have to run ads, and ads are pretty expensive nowadays.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, listen, we're at the 1 hour mark, and I would like to, I have one parting question for you.
I'm bracing myself.
Okay. So I alluded to this in the beginning that Carlos is a serial entrepreneur. Amazon is not his only thing. He's had 17 exits. He does many other business models. And my question for you, Carlos, and this is going to, I'm asking this for everyone who expands and wants to expand in business. How the hell do you do it?
In general, like the mindset behind having different businesses, or
the time producing results across so many different areas of your life, mostly business though.
Yeah.
How do you manage it?
Well, I don't do it myself. That's for sure. So
okay.
Hire as quickly as possible.
Okay.
I hired a coach a long time ago, named Chris Ducker.
Business coach?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, but this is okay. I mean, this is after my first exit, which was like a fluke that I got around the time that I first started, and everything he taught me, and back then it was like $40,000, but right now it all exists almost verbatim, shockingly, in a book that's like $10 on Amazon called Virtual Freedom, and highly recommend it. I'd make it required if I was president for the day type of thing, but it gets into that. Specifically, the who you should hire, when you should hire, and how to know in your scenario where that works. But in essence, you create 4 lists: what I love to do, what I hate to do, what you do to grow your business, and what you do to manage your business. So manage, grow, love, hate. There's some overlap there.
So love, hate, meaning what do you like to work on?
Yeah, there's this thing in your business. It's probably going to be something that manages the business or grows the business. You're doing it and you hate it. Might be necessary, but you hate it. And what you want to do once you've done that is you want to go to all those things. And this should be something that takes a few days. You're going to vomit out a lot of it, but you're not going to finish it for a few days. And you want to say, what are the things that are sales or strategic? Circle those or whatever, remove them from that part of the sheet. You're going to keep those in the beginning, the sales and strategy. Everything else you can get off your plate. Maybe not all right now, but everything else you want to go through, and you now want to say, okay, what is the skill level that's needed for here? So if you needed someone to grab your Amazon reports and put them in a sheet, that's basic data entry. But if you need someone to create these files with formulas and all that there, then that's someone that's much more experienced. And is that a one-time off project I can hire and then have someone for basic data entry? Like you want to assign the experience level that's needed for each role, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Then you want to figure out the amount of time each week or day that this thing takes. And then what are the tools that a person's required to use? So at the end of this, you're going to be left with, oh, wow, there is 20 hours per week here that falls into a basic data entry role. And that could, so you're building out the job description while also identifying what you should take off your plate. So one of the first roles you want to hire is just a GVA, like a general virtual assistant or a generalist in your business that can interface between everything, the world, and you, and keep it sane. And then you just hire. You can't do what I do by yourself. It would be impossible. Like you'd need a lot more days in a day.
Yeah.
And then you just need a formula. You really need a formula for solving problems. And Patrick Bet David said your next, I think it was like your next 5 moves or something, but that's the unlock. Like, how do you receive a problem, solve the problem, and how quickly do you move on? That should be something you get really good at, because they're going to keep coming at you.
Okay. So thank you for that. That's awesome. So then just a quick follow-up question. Would you say that in your current life that you are more in a management role of your staff than a working role in your business?
100%.
Okay.
My role is the visionary role in the business. What I do now, my greatest ROI comes from ideas that I have, whether it's new products, new relationships, whether it's with a new vendor, a strategic partner, a sponsor, like big relationships and building the right ones when you need it and ideas are my biggest ROI. Having an integrator in the business that can shoot my stuff down or integrate it and make it happen with the team is the
You're
next best
quoting
one.
Traction, EOS Traction right now.
I run off Traction. Like we try to run off Traction. Specifically, the verbiage there would be from Gino Wickman's book called Rocket Fuel, which is Visionary Integrator. It's a very difficult system to put in play, in my opinion. They make it sound like it's easy, but
yeah,
there's a lot of operating system out there. This one's good. So we run Traction. We run 3 Hagway, which is the 3-year highly achievable goal. And Rocket Fuel did an amazing job at helping me identify, like, I felt like I was a failure because I couldn't integrate things. And in reality, I'm a horrible integrator.
I have had exactly the same feeling.
Yeah. So I get beat myself up so much about it, which just makes me bad across the board. But then realizing, oh my God, there's this thing called Visionary, and it's not a daydreamer. It's like a really important thing that's in business.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, this is me. I'm raising my hand, like, let's do it.
That's exactly how I felt when I read that as well. It was like, it was a very good acknowledgement to me as a person in a business. I've never been the integrator.
Yeah. Yeah. But knowing that and being able to just embrace that it takes a while. And so so that's my, I'm definitely not, okay, cool. I haven't packed up an FBA shipment in like with with box tape in my own hands in like some years. I miss it a little, but very little. I'm sure I can get out of my system after another box.
Exactly. All right, Carlos, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. For the listeners, listen, Carlos is, as you have just witnessed, a wealth of information. He has so much more out there. He's the creator of Wizards of eCom. There are thousands of hours of recorded videos there. He's created this, and honestly, the influencer thing, I know he's been working hard on that. I've seen it and watched it since the inception, and I have seen the individuals that are a part of that helped build this course go from nothing and terrible videos to doing well over 6 figures a year. So again, thank you, Carlos, and listeners, wizardsofecom.com. And what was the wizardsofecom.com/course, correct, for the influencer course?
Yeah, course,
and then
you can text me 305-965-5857. If you just call me, I won't answer. But if you message me, like, it's legitimate. Nobody does it, but
I do it. You don't talk to me.
Yeah, I got you blocked. You're blocked.
That's it. Okay, I'll switch phone numbers. All right, cool, Carlos. Thank you so much. Thanks for being out there and being willing to help everybody.
Thank you, bro.
All right, see you, buddy.